Good evening. Today is Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, and the board meeting is now called to order. All board members are present except for Second Vice Chair Guzman Ortiz and Student Advisor Woods. They are absent this evening. At this time, Student Advisor McMahon will read the land acknowledgement this evening.
We are gathered today on the land of the Kalapuya, who are represented by the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians. The relationship between the Kalapuya people and the land continues unbroken to this day, and we offer gratitude for the land and for the generations present, past, who have stewarded the land since time immemorial. We respectfully acknowledge and honor past, present, and future Native American and Indigenous students and staff of Salem-Keizer Public Schools. We invite you to join us in honoring these ancestral grounds and celebrating the resilience and strength of Native American and Indigenous people.
Thank you. At this time, will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Superintendent Castaneda, are there any modifications to the agenda?
There are none.
I will turn this portion of the agenda over to Superintendent Castaneda.
Thank you. This is the spotlight portion of our agenda. It is always everyone's favorite. And so we will be celebrating a few key people in our community who do amazing work, and I will MC the celebration just a little bit. So we're going to go through the spotlights. We'll have each presenter come up, and then we will all convene over here at the backdrop for photos afterwards. So as always, we will start with our community spotlight, and I would like to invite Joanna Guevara from AP. I'm sorry, let me restart that. Joanna Guevara Cruz, an AP at Stevens Middle School, to present our community spotlight. Thank you. Is that coming through? Maybe just give us one tech check moment.
All right. Thank you. You guys can hear me now. Okay, perfect. Good evening, Chair Richardson, Board Directors, Superintendent Castañeda, and student advisors. Tonight, I am excited to recognize two businesses for their generosity and their support of our district and community priorities, helping to improve student attendance. Over the past few months, the Chick-fil-A locations in Salem and Keizer have collectively donated more than 14,000 food item cards to Keizer, Northeast Salem, and South Salem area schools. These donations have generated a lot of smiles in our hallways and have helped strengthen our district incentive efforts that support student attendance. School attendance is critical for learning, building social emotional skills and accessing important resources. And sometimes small gifts like a Chick-fil-A food card can help turn our community into excitement for students at the schools. When students are excited to attend, we can see improvement in attendance. And while we know attendance has significantly impacted our student outcomes, access to food and other basic resources are also a huge part of ensuring students are set up to be successful. Your support is providing our students the opportunity to do more than just attending, but being successful at school. On behalf of Stevens Middle School and the many schools across our district that have benefited from your generosity, We thank you, Chick-fil-A, for supporting our students, helping to improve our outcomes, and assisting us in celebrating their success. Thank you, Chick-fil-A.
Thank you, Joanna, for that, and thank you, Chick-fil-A. We'll celebrate you more in a minute. I would next like to introduce Chelsea Lofstead, who is the AP and AD at McKay.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Richardson, Board Directors, Superintendent Castaneda, and student advisors. Tonight, it is my honor to spotlight a team of dedicated educators and coaches at McKay High School, Laura Lopez, Amanda Rivera, Chris Veskins, and Ryan Kubiyama, whose collaborative vision is transforming the experience of female student athletes through the creation of the Wise Up Club. Standing for women in sports, engage, equip, and empower, this program was born from these leaders' recognition of a vital need to better support young women by addressing barriers to confidence, leadership, and belonging through athletics. The impact of the work being done by Laura, Amanda, Chris, and Ryan is felt across the entire McKay community. By intentionally bringing female athletes together across all sports programs, they have built a powerful network of mentorship and peer support. Through monthly lunches, barbecues, and team bonding gatherings, these staff members have created a space where students build lasting relationships with peers they might not otherwise interact with. Furthermore, they publish a monthly newsletter that highlights women in sports history and recognizes local female role models, ensuring our students see their potential reflected in the success stories of those who became before them. These educators are champions for inclusion and belonging at McKay. By fostering a culture where every female athlete feels welcomed and supported, they're helping students develop the confidence to thrive both on and off their respective field. Through their leadership, Wise Up provides the intentional programming and shared experiences necessary for our students to see themselves as leaders in their school and beyond. The 4 teachers named founded the program, but we also want to recognize the many other staff who are engaging in various ways to keep growing it, whether it be wearing the t-shirt or coaches of all female athletes engaging in some part of the program, such as guest speaking, running games, and sharing lessons on the selected topics for the month. On behalf of McKay High School, it is my privilege to recognize these leaders for their extraordinary commitment to our student athletes and for building a culture where female leadership is celebrated and inspired. Please join me in congratulating and thanking these outstanding staff members and the Wise Up Club.
And then finally, for our student spotlight, I would like to invite Lori Shaw. I'm sorry, I didn't write this one out phonetically. Cazares? No. Cazares, thank you. And she will be highlighting City of Salem's I Lead Youth Leadership Summit.
Good evening, Chair Richardson and board directors, superintendent, and the student advisor. My name is Lori Shaw Casares. I am the opioid prevention coordinator with the City of Salem, coming from the city manager's office tonight. With my hat on as a director of a local youth summit, I am proud to recognize 3 outstanding students from Salem-Keizer Public Schools, Mayu Eras Liang, Megan Curran, and Trenton Cooper. These students recently served on the city's I Lead Youth Committee, helping to organize and lead the 17th annual I Lead Youth Leadership Summit. Held in the capital city, I Lead is a unique leadership and wellness event for high school-aged youth living in Marion, Polk, and Lynn counties. What makes this summit special is that it's truly youth-centered, youth-driven, and youth-led. Mayu, Megan, and Trenton worked alongside peers from other cities and counties to help plan this free one-day event. From October through March, these students volunteered their time outside of school to meet regularly, review post-event survey feedback from last year, share ideas and concerns, and helped shape the summit experience. Their work included establishing the event's theme of belonging, and the slogan this year was "Stronger when we lead together." Contributing also to the design of the poster and t-shirt, which is most important. I think Mayu's wearing that t-shirt tonight. Reworking the itinerary, planning activities, determining workshop content, drafting welcome messaging for participants, and helping write and present parts of the opening and closing sessions. It goes without saying, youth committee members dedicate many, many hours in this effort while balancing school, extracurricular activities, jobs, and family responsibilities, and we recognize that. Their leadership helped create a meaningful experience for nearly 120 teens just this last Saturday, setting the stage for teens to come together, learn new skills, gain new strategies for healthier living, and build confidence as leaders. Tonight, I'm honored to recognize Mayu, Megan, and Trenton for their vision, leadership, service, and commitment to supporting with us the next generation of leaders. So congratulations to them, and thank you.
Okay, we will move over to the photo op portion of Spotlights. And so we'll invite you, we'll start with Chick-fil-A and then work our way through up at the backdrop.
That's the one, Keizer. The very big.
Okay. I'm just gonna
Wow. Kevin Mannix is he's a recipe. Not the cocktails, but yeah, he's going to use his college course. Nice. Really called me. No, that's what I said. Give me the time, settle down, what's going on, then I can help you. First, they want to do some
Now we will move to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Chair. My superintendent's report will be brief tonight as we have a pretty long agenda, but it is mostly just to spend a moment uplifting just a handful of the many wonderful things going on. The months of February and March are famous in schools for being the period that can feel like a long run before you hit spring break. And so in honor of the collective impact of March and February combined, we'll just talk about a few great things. So first of all, Salem-Keizer just had an amazing showing at state wrestling, and I encourage anyone to read the stories about it, not just look at the highlights. Just a really, really great season. It's also been a great basketball season. It was a heartbreaker for the South girls on Saturday, but also a really great performance. And, you know, other great things going on everywhere. We had Battle of the Books. It was actually the first Battle of Books I've been to. It was such a wonderful event, hosted and run and supported by the families and staff of Salem-Keizer, and our team at Myers is going to state. So there was an awful lot of joy and pride, especially joy and pride in being able to correct my incorrect pronunciation of several authors' names. It was the highlight of the morning for the group that I moderated. And then we're just moving into conferences, and I know there's going to be just great conversations that are happening between our students, their families, and our staff as we talk about the hard academic work that's been going in over the year, the moment students are at, and the remaining few months of the year as we start to round the corner to finishing strong. And then finally, just in recognition of Women's History Month, the simple yet I think also profound statement, strong women, may we know them, may we be them, may we raise them, and in honor of K-12, may we educate them. So with that, I will turn over to the chair.
Thank you very much. It is now time for the public comments portion of the school board meeting. As a reminder, all audience members are subject to immediate removal if you engage in abusive, threatening, vulgar, or hate speech, including speech articulated on signs and clothing, which violate the district's harassment and/or every student belongs policy. Please note that we provide an opportunity for public comment by virtual call-in, in person, or in writing. Electronic mechanisms are used for translation. Each participant has 3 minutes. We have a countdown timer on screen for monitoring our time. The timer counts down from 3 minutes. At 30 seconds, it turns from green to yellow at 1 second. It turns red and it plays a short bell to signal time is up. Please be mindful of your pace for our interpreters. If the board receives written comment ahead of the meeting, the written comment will be posted on the district website. Tonight, we have 5 people signed up and that have been selected to comment. At this time, we will have Greg Woods. Hello.
Coming here about a student on an IEP.
Excuse me, yeah, but
Student on an IEP. IEPs are for students that have a disability. This year has been rough. There's been 3 employees, one where the students asked for more time for an assignment and the teacher refused. 2 of the teachers told him when he said, I can't do this, and I don't remember that, figure it out. So that is unacceptable. The other time this happened was in February 2022 when one of the school employees breached protocol and they ended up stealing his narcotic from one of the schools. So you guys need some security. You guys need some rules and regulations enforced. You guys need to explain to the teachers how IEPs work. so this doesn't happen to another student. So it gets frustrating when this is twice in 4 years I've been to your office for issues like this. So the security issues that I recommended were, there were multiple keys to the drug cabinet back in the day. The door was left open to the drug cabinet, which is by the bathrooms. And the other issue is there was no self-contained security camera like you have in a pharmacy. But for this is mainly an ADA issue where the teachers, one of them didn't even know he was not on an IEP. So at that point, I think some training needs to be done. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Maria Young.
Hello. I'm here today to talk about the school walkout that happened last week. I was a human rights observer for this event, and I walked with the students from Parrish and from North, and I'm just here to talk about how inspiring that it was. I know that it was not put on by the school district, but I do appreciate you allowing the students to use their First Amendment right of the right to protest. It was such a beautiful day, and we had tons of training beforehand and organizing with Latinos United Siempre and Salem Indivisible. And I just wanted to, just talk about how inspiring it was to see just the sheer volume of students. We thought that we might get 500 students, and I think we got over 2,000 up to 5,000. Yeah, and you know, the children were so respectful and, you know, sharing snacks with one another and thanking us for being there and thanking us for walking with them. And just being able to see them be able to understand their rights and be able to use their voices to speak about things that they were actually in fear of. Was just really beautiful, and being able to hear a lot of their stories and watch them all come together and dance and march, and seeing all of the students after we marched on the front of the Capitol steps all together with their signs. I'm pretty sure that that made an impact on the way that a lot of the people voted in the legislative that day. And so I'm really just here just to, just to let you know that the students of Salem-Keizer are such amazing students, you know, and I know that we have, as a district, a lot of decisions that we're going to be making, and some of them are going to be hard, but these kids are really good kids, and that day just really inspired me in a time when we are going through so many difficult things, even as adults, to handle, and watching these kids show up with so much hope was really inspiring, and I think that that is something that for the rest of the year I will probably take with me. And so I just wanted to come here today and let you all know how beautiful of an event that it was. So thank you.
Thank you. Brian Zaba-Reed.
Good evening. That's a little close. There we go. Well, good evening, Chair, board members, Superintendent Andrea Castaneda. My name is Brian Zaba-Reed, and I am here to speak to you not only as myself, but as a passionate advocate for our community. I would like to take a moment and express first my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has contributed to the growth of the Behavioral Health Center. It stands as a guiding example of how and we can effectively support our most vulnerable community members. Today, I would like to present a request, though, to our district leadership. We work with students who face significant obstacles, guiding them towards becoming successful students and engaging members of our community. My colleagues and I have been diligently trying to keep up with our students' needs throughout the district. However, sadly, we have come to realize we just can't do it all. and need to address our staffing shortage. and the lack of time to frankly get it all done. Our request is simple, but essential. We need to enhance our collaboration with their home schools, and then when they're transitioning to us, and then also having better time and communication to work with the home schools as they transition out. This collaboration is pivotal in ensuring that their continued success. Furthermore, we propose extending the school day for the behavioral health technicians from 7.5 hours to 8. This additional time is vital for completing state-mandated paperwork, managing transportation needs, and supporting our transitioning students across the district. Lastly, we need to discuss the additional staff members to help sustain and expand our services because of the need is becoming bigger and bigger. By investing in our team, we can cultivate a holistic and proactive environment and address the challenges that our students face before they escalate into a crisis. I recognize that we are facing a budget constraints, and I urge you to initiate this conversation. Let's work together and set essential goals that push beyond our current challenges. Together, we can ensure that our amazing students continue to exceed our expectations. Thank you for your attention. And Superintendent, I recall you mentioning that your superpower was budgets. Well, mine is advocacy. Let's work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Marlene Ellis.
Good evening. Good evening, Superintendent, Chair, Board Directors, Student Advisor. My name is Marilyn Ellis, and I'm a proud high school social studies teacher and currently serving as the president of SKEA. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of our more than 2,300 members. Although I may be stating the obvious, the world we're living in right now feels chaotic, constantly shifting, far from secure. From conflicts in state and national politics to armed hostilities around the globe, to stock markets that seem to rise and fall overnight, there's a great deal of uncertainty about what the coming days and weeks will bring. For many educators, coming to school, focusing on teaching, learning, and supporting our students provides a welcome break from this uncertainty. Unfortunately, that has not been the case in Salem-Keizer this year. Instead, our members have been navigating uncertainty within our own district. We've heard about a $25 million shortfall, then a $23 million shortfall. We've heard about the need to eliminate 120 positions, and more recently that some of those reductions may be offset by retirements and resignations. Updates arrive through superintendent videos, district newsletters, and messages shared by administrators at staff meetings. Yet despite all of this communication, there is still no clear timeline for when decisions will be finalized, who may be affected, or what the full impact will be on the work that we do with students. Over the years, our district has grown significantly, from about 25,000 students when I first started teaching to a peak of roughly 43,000 just a few years ago. As that growth occurred, we expanded staffing across the system to meet student needs. We hired more teachers, counselors, administrators, and many other essential staff members. In short, we scaled up across the board. Now, as enrollment declines and reductions are being considered, the information we received suggests that cuts will fall primarily on those providing direct classroom instruction. It simply doesn't make sense. If we scaled up across the board, we need to scale down across the board. When reductions appear to target classroom educators alone, it increases the anxiety and uncertainty our members already feel as they walk into their schools every day. So what can be done? First, we ask that superintendent video communications not occur during educator-directed time. Instead, we ask that these messages be shared during staff meetings where educators can ask questions immediately and receive clarification from their administrator before concerns grow and rumors spread. Second, we ask that the district share information about the timing of when reductions will be finalized and announced as soon as possible. Since the beginning of the year, we've heard that a reduction in force may be necessary. but also that it might be avoided if enough attrition occurs. What we have not heard is when the district expects to know for certain. Our educators deserve clarity. They deserve transparency. Thank you.
Kimberly Reed Zauber.
Good evening, board directors, student advisor, and superintendent. My name's Kimberly Reed Zauber. I'm a proud union member and teacher in Salem-Keizer. I use she, her pronouns, and I speak to you tonight as an individual member of our community. I've got some numbers for you today. In 2019, we had 42,000 students. In 2026, we have 37,000. In 2019, we had 2,650 licensed staff, 2,500 classified. 2026, we have 2,500 licensed staff, 2,100 classified. 2019, we had 10 directors across the district. In 2026, we have 23. In 2019, the vast majority of classified staff was paid less than $40,000 a year. Licensed staff less than $65,000. In 2019, a director's yearly salary, now there's no salary schedule, so I just kind of had to pick a middle-ish value, was about $130,500. In 2025, most classified staff was paid less than $50,000, licensed less than $80,000. But in 2024, even a year before that, a director's salary was, same middle-ish value, $178,200. We actually spend over $4 million on just those 23 people. Our highest director salaries are twice as much as a teacher of 15 years, teaching anywhere from 30 to 400 students in a year, doing 8 to 12 hours of unpaid labor each week. And now I lost my spot. I assume it's a hefty job to be a director because I see you guys all over the place, all hours of the day. But is it twice as much work as being a teacher? Or 4 times as much as being a special education assistant? Are they yelled at, sworn at, or kicked twice as often as a teacher, or 4 times as much as an SPIA? More importantly, does a director work with twice as many students as a teacher, or 4 times as many as an IA? And if not, how do we justify that cost? If one director costs us the price of 2 teachers or more, who together work with up to 800 students, doesn't it make more sense to make the majority of the cuts at the administrative level rather than at the point of service? Losing one student-facing educator means lowering the services and quality of education for up to 400 students. Students, not percentages or dollar amounts, but the people who are our reason to exist. It's time to crop, and heavily, please, from the top.
Thank you, everyone that made comments this evening. Next on our agenda are the action items for the authorization for the sale of the Fruitland, Lake LaBiche, and Paulus Administration Center properties. As a reminder, the board declared the properties were not required for school purposes. Do I have a motion to authorize the district to sell the Fruitland, Lake LaBiche, and Paulus Administration Center properties, and authorize the superintendent or her designee to execute all documents and take all necessary actions to complete the property transaction, which proceeds directed to the Special Capital Projects Fund 418 as presented?
Yes.
Dr. Sandagiri made the motion. At this time, I'll open the floor for discussion.
Would you like a second?
I'm sorry.
Would you like
I
a
need
second?
a second. Thank you so
I
much.
would love to second that.
Director Harnish second the motion. And at this time, I'll open the floor for discussion.
I have a
Director Hudson.
clarifying question. Thank you so much. Directed to special project capital funds specifically, right? Is included in that?
418.
Are you asking about whether it's included in the motion?
Yeah, it's included, so that we're just to be clear, so what we're voting on is that not only are we approving the sale process to move forward, but that it's going in that box specifically. And so, I mean, as you know, I have the question about moving the money out of that box later. I know that it would take a motion and other board members to discuss that, but I was just wondering if I think we still have that right to do that at a later date if we want to, even after today's vote, correct?
Yes, so because this is a sale of real estate, it is our practice to put it back into a capital project fund, as you can see here, Fund 418. And that helps ensure that we're continuing to replenish and use that in purposes that are consistent with the capital needs of the district. This is an authorization to move to sell the property. It isn't, obviously the sale date is uncertain. At some point, all of the properties will sell. And as a board, if you wish to, at that point, work together to exercise your right to change the direction of the revenue, there'll be a mechanism to do that. In all likelihood, it is going to fall off cycle with the budget process, which is where this discussion belongs, not in the authorization to sale, but in the board's statutory rights to manage the budgetary process. What we can do is commit to ensuring that the board is notified as soon as any of the properties sell and the revenue is realized.
Dr. Sandigari?
I mean, as part of the discussion, I would hope the board leaves the funds for this capital fund, not to use it for something else. Because tomorrow, if there is a leaky roof, we have to take it out of the general fund. That means I have to pay either the teacher's salary, which we were discussing in the public comment, or fix the leaky roof. So, sometimes when we have a bond, we end up spending everything because we are required to spend. That doesn't guarantee that the roof won't leak or somebody won't clog the toilets or whatever it is. So we really need some kind of fund preserved. And please, my hope is for this board or the future board not to take that and use it for any other purpose other than leave it there. Because like every building, everything will have something or other. None of us can guarantee it won't be without any blemish. So we need something where we don't touch the general fund as much as possible, because that we need to save it for teachers' salaries and wages.
Thank you.
Chair Richardson, if I
Yes.
may. I just expanding on the 418 account. So that is our special projects fund. It is not, that is not an account that we moves funds into during the annual cycle. It's only cycling in and out for projects like this. So it doesn't get regular funding through our cycle. It's only through the sale and other pieces where we move revenue in from those. And we have used it in the past for roof repairs, but also the work we did at the BHC at Straub was part of this account. Our work for ADA improvements across the district, dealing with some of the Office of OCR office issues, as well as some of our LED lighting and those things. So several things that fall into that that allow us to use those funds to work on those projects rather than coming back and dipping into other general fund accounts. Thank you.
Director Hudson?
Oh, it's okay. I just want to know also I don't know if you still have it, but okay.
Director Fuller?
One of the cool things about letting other people go first is that oftentimes my questions get answered and I can check it off my list. So I no longer have a question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, I would like to ask a clarification. if there is money in one account and if we borrow it for some other reason, is there any policy that requires us to pay it back into that bucket from where we borrowed in our district financial policies?
There are requirements through the budget appropriation process. So when you all approve a budget, there are appropriation limits for the different categories. And we're required to live inside of the appropriated limits. If we wish to go outside of the appropriated limits, we must come to you for a supplemental budget, which creates the approval mechanism.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. All those in favor of authorizing the district to sell the Fruitland, Lake LaBiche, and Paulus Administration Center properties and authorize the superintendent or her designee to execute all documents and take all necessary actions to complete the property transaction with proceeds directed to the Special Capital Projects Fund 418 as presented, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Unanimous? Passes. Do I do it again for Lake of the Dish and then?
No, that was it. It was pulled.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That brings us to the readings and discussions portion of the agenda. Chief Odenthal, the floor is yours.
Some folks with us tonight, so I'm going to bring them up to the table and all of us move up here.
As people are coming up, and this will be done probably more than once in this session, I do want to just really thank the Long Range Facility Planning Community Task Force that has put many hours and evenings into the work that they are about to present.
All right, thank you, Chair Richardson, Directors, Superintendent Castaneda, Student Advisor McMahon. Thank you for the time tonight. With me tonight, I have our Director of Facilities, Joel Smallwood. Also, our co-chairs for the our task force for the Long Range Facility Plan. Sue Bloom is here, and hopefully Mark Shipman is with us online from warm and sunny Maine at the time to join us and be part of the presentation. To go into this, if we could get the next slide, please. Okay, there you go. Okay. So our, as Superintendent said, we have been working with our long-range task force for a good period of time over the last 3 months. And this list up here gives you an idea of that group. We had 20 members of our community, a diverse group across the district that has helped us in looking at our, looking and prioritizing our facility plan that we'll present to you in April. Great group of folks. As the superintendent said, I stole about 18 hours of their time from probably some of the busiest people in our community over the last 3 months to spend with us, and we're very grateful. They were highly engaged and with us through the whole time, and truly appreciate their time. Next slide, please. A little reminder on the work of the task force and the LRFP, as we call it in there. It is a plan that looks 10 years ahead at our facilities needs based on the condition, the adequacy of those facilities, and helps us to plan out and prioritize our work, and when, in the future when we'll talk to you about bond of how we can accomplish that. It is required by Oregon law. We do that. The 195-110 requires us to have this plan to engage into a bond and other mechanisms for grants and funds. And you can see what it includes there. A large part of this is the capital improvement project list, a capital improvement plan, which is 10 years of the work and the cost to accomplish what we need to do across the district. Next slide, please. This gives you an idea of those meetings that we had with the board. As I said, we met with them across 3 months. We've talked through the fact of working through the process we were going through and for the LRFP and into the bond. And also We talked about the condition of facilities, shared that, what the work we've done to assess our facilities and our buildings physically. We talked about their adequacy for their educational mission, as well as we gave them the same enrollment information that we shared with you a few months ago, and how that plays into our bond work, our facilities planning work. And then we had 2 very long sessions of prioritizing and working through the capital investment plan. Next slide, please. And here's some pretty pictures of them at work, exciting at tables, going at it, shuffling cards around there. Part of this we did with the task force is we wanted them to get a flavor for our facilities across the district. And so with this, we moved for every meeting, and we toured facilities and worked at the libraries at Chavez, Inglewood, Parrish, McKay, Scott, and we ended at the Hawthorne building, the call center, which we purchased recently as well. And with that, I'm going to turn the next topic to talk about the guiding principles of the task force.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Throughout our meetings, the task force utilized the following principles to guide us through the planning process. First, to design school environments that work well for today's teaching methods while staying adaptable enough to support new instructional approaches and evolving career landscapes. To create campuses that provide strong physical security, yet also feel inviting, supportive, and connected for students and families. To maintain learning spaces with good lighting, acoustics, air quality, and temperature control so students can focus, feel well, and show up ready to learn. To invest in high-quality areas for STEAM, CTE, clubs, and other hands-on programs that keep students engaged and help them explore future career paths. To ensure facilities meet diverse learning needs, involve underserved communities in planning, and provide comparable opportunities, amenities, and support spaces across the schools. And finally, to focus on durable, efficient improvements that reach the most students, reduce operating costs, and maintain consistent quality across school sites.
Good evening. Joel Smallwood, as Paul mentioned. First of all, I want to express my deep gratitude to the team that joined us all of those nights. As Paul mentioned, it was a large group. They did great, and they stayed with us the entire time. We didn't have fall off as we met the end of those meetings. That was great to see. So, want to talk tonight. We're on the next slide about a couple of things around kind of procedural for where we're at tonight and then where we'll be in a month when we visit you again. So tonight is the presentation of the task force report to the board. It documents their process. We've talked about some of that, the information that they've reviewed, key areas of deliberation, presents their recommendations, and proposed capital improvement plans, which is, of course, a requirement of long-range facilities plan. We'll get to those 6 recommendations here shortly. It serves as the formal record of the task force work and input to the board. That is also a requirement of the ORS 195 around a long-range facilities plan. So tonight is purely informational for you as a board of directors. When we're back in April, on April 14th, we'll be bringing to you a comprehensive planning document that incorporates the task force recommendations, including that capital improvement plan that we've referred to a few times, providing much greater detail on the background of those facilities condition assessments, enrollment, district-wide needs, all of the things that have built this plan over the last 3 months with the team, but really over the last 2 years with development and gathering of all of that information. And then lastly, that report that will come to you then combines that technical analysis with the task force recommendations into a single integrated plan. The plan that you have in front of you in your packets today is approximately 20 pages. The one that you'll see then is approximately 400 or 500 pages. We're still working on how many exactly that is. So it goes greatly into depth of detail, and it will also refer to a lot of documentation around information gathering pieces, which are thousands of lines on spreadsheets that I welcome you to come see anytime. Next slide. So this is a roll-up of this capital improvement plan we talk about. There's a lot of information in each of these pools. These are the task force's first attempt at prioritizing the needs of the district from capital improvements standpoint. You'll see here some very large numbers. Once again, this is the first blush at this. The highest priority being those projects that they felt needed to be accomplished in the next 5 years. Then secondary, important but flexible was that 5 to 10 year category. And then of course, lastly, lower urgency, things that they felt could be deferred. These will be things that we'll be talking about with our community as we work into the next pieces, the next part of this puzzle that we work through. I will say that the task force spent a lot of time on this, spent a lot of deliberation back and forth. It spanned a couple of meetings with a lot of input, and they struggled because ultimately this plan identifies everything the district needs for a 10-year period. That's by design what it is. And of course, they wanted all of them to be in the top 5, but struggled to work through getting some level of prioritization, which will help frame the recommendation to you and the path forward. The next slide. All right. Another piece, and this will be in one of the recommendations that you hear about, is around a long-term site viability framework. This is a framework that was developed with district staff in conjunction with this task force to work through how do we look at our buildings in our future, and what factors do we look at when we consider a building's future. When I say future, that could be future investment. It could be lack of future investment, boundary changes. It runs the gamut. This is not designed, this process is not designed around an answer. It's designed around multiple answers. I'm not going to read all of these, but some of the big topics here were capital investment. Major upcoming capital investments in buildings should be a strong consideration of a future of a building, viability framework. Educational adequacy, it's something we've talked about a lot in this group. We've done a lot of work in the background on this. It's not just, is it a science room, but is it a science room that works for educating kids in today, and all of the other things around educational adequacy. Operating costs, transportation and access. Are our schools close to the kids they serve? And does that make sense from a transportation standpoint and from a community standpoint? A couple of the others really want to talk here on is enrollment patterns and site limitations. We have sites and buildings that are highly limited, and we have others that aren't, and we just need to make sure that we look at all of those things when we start to consider the long-term viability of a building, and then weigh that all out at the end of the day. And with that, I am going to hand it back over to Sue, and Mark is with us. I see him, I believe, online. They are going to both work through the next slide.
Thank you, Joel. And I do want to.
Sorry, Sue. That was
That's okay.
probably more of yourself than you needed to hear, right? I think we're working on a
That's
tech
great.
solution.
Thanks. I did want to also give kudos to Paul, Joel, David, and the team that they convened, because these sessions were very robust, very thoughtful, and generated a lot of wonderful conversation that we've come to today. So Mark and I are going to tag team on sharing with you the recommendations that you see on this next slide. First is to adopt the proposed capital improvement plan as part of the LRFP. The task force is recommending that the district formally adopt this proposed capital improvement plan as part of the 2026 LRFP. This gives us a clear district-wide roadmap for how we prioritize future capital investments. By embedding this plan into the LRFP, we're establishing a consistent framework that guides decision-making, ensures alignment with our educational goals, and helps us invest in the areas that will give us the greatest impact on our students. On to Mark.
You're on mute.
Last year.
There we go.
Under number two, we would request that the board adopt the long-term site viability framework. As Joel outlined earlier, we believe that this is a good, transparent tool to evaluate those factors, as Joel identified, with respect to determining what schools should be, the facility should be getting priority with respect to the future evaluations. Thank you. The future evaluations.
Thank you, Mark. Next recommendation is to continue evaluating long-term facilities pathways through deeper analysis. This means taking a closer look at our building's conditions, their educational adequacy, and how enrollment compares to capacity. With that information, we can explore a full range of potential strategies, including school closures or consolidations, boundary adjustments, or the feasibility of new, replacement, renovated, or combined facilities. The goal is here not to predetermine an outcome, but to ensure that we have the data and options needed to make thoughtful, community-informed decisions about the future of our schools.
And number four, we'd recommend that the board support the adoption of course, transparent communication around the planning decisions by committing to a clear and inclusive engagement approach with respect to data, the rationale trade-offs, with early ongoing involvement with family, staff, and community partners.
The fifth recommendation is update to the educational specifications. These documents guide how learning spaces are designed, and they need to reflect today's instructional models as well as the evolving needs of students and staff. This update would also include clear guidance for key non-instructional and shared spaces. In short, refreshing our educational specifications ensures that future projects, whether new construction or renovation, are aligned with modern learning environments and support programs we want to deliver.
And finally, number six, the task force would recommend that the board establish a bond planning committee that they would obviously recognize the scale of the identified capital needs and to come up with a bond feasibility study that the board can make a recommendation with respect to the potential future general obligation bond.
All right, thank you, Sue and Mark. Mark, your comments were so important that we wanted them echoed several times. That was on purpose, of course. For the board as well, or those listening, the report you have from the LRFP task force has greater detail on the capital improvement plan that we didn't have in the slides here. So we'd invite you to look at that and we can comment on any of those pieces. I also want to thank Chair Richardson and Director Harnish that were with us every night in those meetings and working through that. And the committee did a great job. They showed up the whole time, were engaged. And despite the fact that David Hughes thinks it's because of the snacks he provided is why they kept coming back, I'm pretty sure it was their willingness and dedication to the work we were doing. With that, the next steps, if we go to the next slide. So from tonight, as Joel said, we'll be taking this report from the task force. We'll be incorporating it into the long-range facility plan that we'll bring to you in April, as well as the results of our discussion tonight and other thoughts that you have as a board. We'll look at those and how we can incorporate those into the plan moving forward and coming back in April. When we come back with that plan to you in April, we will also be asking you, with our bringing a recommendation to you, that we one, you're not approving you don't have to approve the long-range facility plan. You're accepting it, receiving that report. However, we'll be asking and making a recommendation that you direct us to move into a bond feasibility study. So not approving a bond, we don't have a dollar amount or that sort of thing, but directing us to go out, do that study, work with the community, look at the finances, and come back to you with recommendations on a bond and perhaps moving to a bond later on. And that is probably about a 9-month process within the feasibility study, moving in and looking at a future date for a bond. And with that, I'd like to open it up and happy to take any questions that the board may have.
Dr. Sandagiri.
Well, thank you very much. And I really appreciate Superintendent and Paul, you kind of spending some time trying to share what went behind the scene and what all you've done. So I'm just looking at this particular, the page 133 out of 183, that document, that graph you have shown. So because of the enrollment going down, we're going to have many schools which will have below 50% capacity utilization, so there's going to be some space. So my hope, so when we meet in April, will we have some idea in terms of how are we going to move the students, or which schools we can say, we close it, so that we utilize all the real estate that we have in a appropriate manner, so that then we can probably go further and say we need to go for a bond and make sure we need to build a new school which will capture all that, students who are moved, or some schools, it's very clear that we will not be able to sustain that. If there's something like 11 elementary schools will have less than 50%. So, but some schools will probably be 90% or more, but most of them are going to be in the other two range, that green and whatever the other color I can't. So will there be some idea before we kind of say we'll go ahead with the bond? Because it also, as much as it is a problem, a lot of people want to hold on to this, but it also gives us an opportunity to start saying that can students, just like our CTEC program in Portland Road, where students come from everywhere, it's such a diverse, rich place where it has very good opportunity for children to learn from each other and have good outcome. Will this also allow us to start thinking of different ways in which we can design the schools as we embark on the next set of bond?
Yeah, thank you, Director Chandragiri, for that question. So so when we come to you in April, the answer is no, we won't have those decisions on the table about closures of schools or consolidations at that time. That will be part of our work going forward as we look at the feasibility. And that's part of why the proposal of the long-term site availability framework, and that's something too, we want to talk to you more about that framework beyond April and discuss how we look at schools and make decisions. The enrollment, I think, is driving us to a year of not only bond planning and discussions, but also about consolidations, boundaries, those sort of things as we look at the enrollment numbers and make decisions about how to best utilize our physical building infrastructure across the district.
Director Hudson.
Okay, thank you very much. So we touched on a bit last week. I appreciate your answers with all of my questions and your one-on-one time with this. I was curious, so we get specific here, and I was just hoping that you could reiterate and maybe dig a little deeper on how much and when we kind of have more input, perhaps from each particular school. So, for example, the sensory rooms. So as we understand in the past, say we've created a sensory room in a school and the school doesn't utilize it, and thought perhaps that the money could have been best spent elsewhere. And then it goes down the list of bathrooms and then of course special ed classrooms and such. So, so do we have any more, like as far as the timeline goes and what that kind of looks like as far as, are we gaining direct feedback from each school head as far as their input on what their personal needs are, or is that still not until later down the road?
It's actually both, I'll say, because part of the process last spring, about a year ago, we did what we called educational adequacy interviews of every principal in a district. And there was a list of about 30 questions they had ahead of time so they could be prepared for it. They went through that with a consultant of ours, and then also toured the building. So a lot of those things came up then, things that were lacking, things that they had that they didn't use quite the way they had intended or thought they would, and what was adequate and what wasn't. So that's the first piece of it. The second piece is in the long report, I guess, the full long-range facilities plan, there will be a section on each individual facility. It'll be 4 to 6 pages, depending on the facility, that will summarize a lot of that information and the other data points that we've collected on it going forward. So that'll be available for everyone. And as we start this long-range, or rather, I'm sorry, a bond feasibility study, I like to call it a community conversation because that's really what it is. There will be a lot of meetings, a lot of opportunities to meet with community groups, with school groups, with staff. The last time we went through this, we held a lot of meetings at feeders. We brought in all the schools to those feeder groups, but we also met with them individually as staff members, not just in those community settings. So a lot of time for input, a lot of time to talk about all of those spaces you mentioned that are on here. Is a sensory room the right thing for our future? In all of those topics, absolutely. So, does that answer your question?
I think so.
Chair Hudson.
When you said it'll be added, at what point, sorry, do you think that'll be closer to 9 months down the road, or?
Oh, when
it
we're
gets
having
that
these
specific?
conversations,
Yeah.
we hope to jump into them immediately on your direction to do so. So no, we anticipate that we'll be putting together that committee, the smaller group, I guess you could call it, right away, and then start those community engagement sessions. We'd like to say before school's out this year, because we need to keep that momentum moving in order to stay on a timeline to get these things done, especially with the enrollment projections that we're seeing happening. So right away.
Thank you.
Yep.
If I can just add something, I also think Board Member Hudson might have been saying, at what point will we get the additional school-by-school information? And that will be part of the April
Yes.
board meeting.
Yeah, sorry if I misunderstood the question. Thank you. Thank you.
Director Harnish?
I don't think I really have a question, more than I have a real commendation to the team who put this together. This is, having been through it now, this is my second rodeo on this. I'm so impressed with the district's ability to share a lot of information about a lot of buildings and really sort of sift through all the needs, of which there are more needs than we could ever meet. I think we all want, the most beautiful, pristine buildings. That's what we all want. We also know that that's not a reality, and so we've got to make some choices. And so this is sort of that first sifting. So I just want to say to my fellow colleagues here, a lot of time and energy really went into looking at everything, and we didn't agree on everything, which is kind of the beautiful process, and so many more opportunities to weigh in as a community, weigh in as staff and students, and really make sure that we're doing this in the best way possible. And so I just publicly want to say thank you for all of that work and making sure that we're keeping this out in front of the community and ourselves so that our students do have the best. So thank you.
Director Fuller?
Thank you. I want to piggyback off of Lisa and just thank this committee for not only the time and hours that they put in, but the quality of the report. When I sat down to read it, I was kind of like, this is long, but it read really well. And the information was presented in such a way that was easy to read and digest. And it went in, I just, thank you. I learned so much by reading this report, so thank you.
If I could just add, I wish Joel and I were that eloquent, but we have a great staff that works for us, and we also had Brick Architecture working with us that did a lot of work on the report and did a great job with us.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of took us along with you through the process. There was meeting notes, there was discussions. It was very comprehensive and well done.
I just want to ditto that. Great job. Director Sandagari?
I just want to ask, because, last time we had this bond process, I'm sure we must have done something like this before that, because it's required by it's 10 years. I wasn't there, to be honest. But we had one of the largest bonds in the state of Oregon, I was told. And some of you were there. Lisa, you were there, right, in that meeting? So this is like every 10 years, we'll probably have to go through this. I'm just going to put it out because this has been in my mind for a very long time. I brought it up publicly also. We have, our schools are designed in such a way that children from the neighborhood schools go to the same neighborhood. That's the model we have built, our policies perhaps. But I don't see that is a policy that has to be the only way. There can be a way, like some districts have what's called open enrollment within their district, as long as, stay. It gives people choices. It gives them opportunity to mix with diverse groups, because, our communities are still kind of pretty segregated in its own way from historical rules and policies, etc. So this may be a question that's worth pondering. Just what if we say in the next 10 years, we have a different paradigm of, say, open enrollment, where give people choices and to go within the district. The child may say, I like that IB program in South, but I live in North. Or I like that culinary program somewhere else, just like our C-Tech in Portland Road. That will really meet the intent of how it should be. Totally, people having choices, they're a very desegregated community, and students will learn from each other and also grow with each other. So it'll kind of lift up people who may not have enough family to go and think, because there are some pockets of poverty-dense areas in our community. And the way, if we start saying, you're just tied to a neighborhood school, then what will happen is you're keeping them there, tethered there. So this may be a chance for us to think through. I'm not saying we'll have all the answers, but hopefully in the next 10 years, we'll be able to move towards that direction of saying, how do we design schools and how do we design things? Maybe the transportation system has to be redesigned in such a way that people can move back and forth, but it gives everybody a chance to lift up and meet our equity lens. And so there's some models to think about, that's all I'm saying. We may not be perfect.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. I think, that's part of the discussion, I think, that falls into the viability framework when we talk about the trade-offs of how we do those things. And I think it's important when we talk about consolidation in buildings, and if we're going to close buildings, about not just about that, how are we improving the experience for our students, right? So I think that's, to your point, is we want to have that open discussion and talk about innovation and how we can better support our students and their student experience. And if that's what you're talking about with the moving across the district and the open enrollment or other things, it's worth discussion that we want to have. And I might just see if Sue or Mark, as our co-chairs, have any thoughts they want to share on that, and it's okay to say no as well.
I think it's important to give our kids choices, because there's passions and opportunities in other parts of the district that if they can take advantage of it, then that's fantastic.
That's the true intent of Brown versus Board of Education. Otherwise it's like separate but equal, in my mind at least. Maybe that's a very simplistic way of looking at it. And the reality of today is there are some poverty-dense areas. There's no easy way school can bust that. So how do we give opportunities so that we don't have to wait till city or the state or take care of every community to reach that stage? So it kind of lifts everybody up in my mind.
Thank you all very much. We sincerely appreciate all the work that the committee has done and all the leadership that you've provided. Next, we'll hear from Deputy Superintendent Neves and Director Eric Jesperson regarding curricular materials.
By opening.
Oh, excuse me. The board members are asking for a break, please.
Absolutely. So granted. Thanks.
It felt like you might want a little more time. We'll take a 10-minute break.
Whatever you say.
Be back at 7:25.
Okay, I think I'm on my own here this evening.
Now you're up.
Okay. Good evening, Chair Richardson, members of the board, student advisor, and Superintendent Castaneda. This evening, I'm here for the first reading of the agenda item related to the adoption of curricular materials for the areas of American Sign Language, high school math, and elementary language arts. Before I get into my presentation, I would like to thank the teachers across the school district that have participated in this process, including those that were involved in our steering and final adoption committees or full adoption committees, the teachers that piloted curricular materials, our program associates that helped facilitate the process, our community members that were at our viewing sessions that gave us feedback, and of course the board members that have been leaning into this process along the way. It's been a collective effort, and I'm proud to be here tonight to share the recommendations for curriculum in 3 different subject areas. First slide, or next slide, please. As we've discussed in several board meetings over the last couple years, we're in year 3 of a 5-year process to update instructional materials across all content areas and grade levels. We've accomplished this through a rigorous and thorough review process that I'm going to be talking with you tonight about. At the top of this graphic, you might recognize it because it's been shown before in previous board meetings. You see the multicolored dots there at the top. Those represent the many different instructional materials that are considered from publishers across content areas. Our goal is to ensure that the recommendations that we bring forward to the board go through a thorough review process, which includes examining available materials and reviewing them against our expectations for high quality instructional resources. It also includes engaging our community and ultimately asking our teachers to make recommendations. I want to emphasize that the curriculum adoption is a local process made by Salem-Keizer Public Schools and is approved by the board. The Oregon Department of Education supports this process by reviewing materials that are aligned to the state adoption cycle and providing rubrics that evaluate the quality of those resources. Our committee do review those materials along with others that may have not been reviewed by the state. Then, when determining whether the curriculum qualifies as high quality, we evaluate those based on 6 key indicators, which I'm going to share with you now. The first is that the materials are available in both English and in Spanish, allowing us to support our dual language programming with authentic resources. The second, materials must be aligned to grade level standards. Third, we look for authentic portrayals of diverse perspectives and experiences. Fourth, we ensure that materials support academic and English language development. Fifth, we evaluate whether the materials include evidence-based instructional practices, including curriculum-based assessments that help teachers understand how well students are mastering their content. And finally, we look for options for differentiation, ensuring that teachers can support students who need additional support, as well as those that are ready for enrichment. Next slide, please. This graphic represents the process that we use to arrive at the recommendation for our ASL curriculum, American Sign Language curriculum. Pilot programs were selected and teachers received professional development to support the implementation. Throughout the pilot, materials were carefully evaluated, community viewing sessions were held, and both teacher and student surveys were completed and analyzed. The full adoption committee then reviewed the collective feedback and data before making its recommendation. Next slide, please. You might recall during the 24-25 school year last year, the district was in the process of updating instructional materials for all world languages, including American Sign Language. The board approved the new curriculum for French, Spanish, German, and Japanese. However, ASL teachers requested additional time to review materials before making their recommendation. This fall, teachers piloted 2 additional curricula. One of the pilots was discontinued due to accuracy concerns that were brought forth by our teachers. After completing the final pilot and reviewing feedback, teachers recommended Signing Naturally by Don Sign Press as the new American Sign Language curriculum. Next slide, please. The recommended curriculum will be used for 3 courses, ASL 1, 2, and 3. The top reasons for this selection are that it consistently meets Oregon Department of Education's World Language Adoption criteria. It has accessible technology tools to support student learning. It has reliable and accurate language use. And it has an affirming narrative of the American Sign Language culture. Next slide, please. For high school math, the committee began evaluating ODE's approved curricular options during the 23-24 school year. 2 curricula were selected and 2 curricula were selected for pilot implementation across our high schools. After those pilots concluded, feedback and data from the teachers was collected and analyzed. In the fall of 2025, the steering committee requested the opportunity to pilot an additional curriculum to ensure the committee had the most comprehensive information possible. Following the completion of the 3 pilots, 2 during the 23-24 school year and 1 this past fall, the full adoption committee reviewed the data and ultimately recommended Envision Mathematics by SOPAS. Next slide, please. The courses that will be using Envision will be Algebra 1, Geometric and Statistical Reasoning, and Algebra 2. The top reasons for the selection are the multiple modes for students to engage with the materials, including student workbooks and online resources, high quality grade level tasks, examples, and supports for students and families, and lessons that are adaptable and flexible for our teachers. Next slide, please. For elementary literacy, a steering committee was formed in January of 2025. A survey was sent out to all elementary teachers to gather information on areas of need and to identify teachers interested in piloting materials. In our initial review process, the committee requested sample materials from multiple publishers on the OD approved curriculum list. Publishers that met the criteria made presentations to the committee, which led to the selection of 2 pilots being chosen. Over 70 teachers that represented all 6 feeder areas, all 6 grade levels, title and non-title schools, dual language and ESOL, and special education helped create a strong representative sample. Feedback data was collected and the full committee voted to recommend Into Reading and Arriba La Lectora by HMH. Next slide, please. The top reasons for the selection are the robust scope and sequence of foundational skills that are systematic and comprehensive in both Spanish and English, thematically aligned units designed to build background knowledge through culturally relevant texts, and ample resources to support student engagement with texts and support teacher planning both in print and online. I plan to return to the next board meeting in April for further vote on these items. In the meantime, we want to emphasize that our teachers feel very strongly about each of these recommendations. We appreciate your consideration and look forward to addressing questions this evening or at next month's board meeting.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Yes, Dr. Sanjigiri.
Thank you very much, Chair. You know, we are these 3 curriculum that we have selected, the committee has selected, the teachers. Does that include input from other teachers who may not be part of this? And does this align with our assessment and professional development for the entire mathematics department or language department? So is there an alignment between the instruction, curriculum, and assessment? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, I heard a couple questions in there. I want to make sure I get all of it. So if I miss part of it in my answer, please follow up. I think I want to reiterate sort of my last comments when I was talking about elementary literacy. We adopted a curriculum just over a decade ago, and it was really important for us that we send out a survey, kind of a needs, interests survey. And part of that, as I said, that was also our opportunity to solicit teachers that might be interested in piloting the materials, which we had far more people that were interested in piloting than we were able to do, which is encouraging. But our teachers did give us a lot of information on the various areas that they felt like our current curricula was falling short. And we took all that information and surveyed all that information, and that was shared with a steering committee that was put together. And so as we were looking at, in this case with elementary literacy, the 5 different publishers that came in, they were offering presentations and sharing materials with us. Our steering committee was also aware of the needs of their peers as well. In terms of, I think there's a question in there about professional learning as well.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that will this curriculum align with everybody adopting the similar instructional style and an assessment piece?
Yeah.
Like we have invested on the STAR assessment, which kind of allows you to kind of pinpoint and diagnose who is kind of, where's the scatter and how they're learning. So does this align with that?
Yeah, STAR is curriculum agnostic. So STAR is an assessment, is a tool that we would use for our screening tool that we would use for any curriculum. But certainly our elementary literacy curriculum is aligned with the science of reading. In terms of professional learning as well, which I think it was part of it, I'd like to address that. Obviously the second reading is in April, but we're already building curriculum maps. We're already preparing for a May 1st job-like training for our teachers in other subject areas, but just sticking with literacy for a moment. And then we're going to have extensive training for our teachers in June 15th to 17th for teachers to sign up, also in August, so they can choose one or the other. And of course, there'll be ongoing training as well. In terms of assessment as well, a key indicator for us were curriculum-based assessments that were built in to all of our curricular areas.
Yeah, we're going to be spending several $1 million on curriculum adoption, which we haven't done in a long time.
Right.
So the question that comes to my mind is, will all the teachers embrace this curriculum or this instructional approach? Because then we can standardize it, and then we can see what is working, what's not working, or the next iteration we will probably have a better idea.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about before, because...
No, I hear you. I've been around a long time. I haven't been in this particular position forever, but I've been in this district forever, and I certainly know that we haven't historically had the frequency of these adoptions. But as I mentioned in my opening remarks, this is year 3 of a 5-year process, and so we do have experience already in other curricular areas where we have adopted the material, we've trained our teachers, and we have an expectation that they're using it, and they are. We have consistent walkthrough tools that we're using. We're able to calibrate consistently on that and study that, and our professional development is aligned with the expectation that those resources are being used, and they are.
So your classroom walkthrough and all will give a kind of feedback loop, I hope.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, Director Parker.
I just had a couple questions on the language arts and the mathematicals, the pilots, where it said you had like a steering committee feedback. Was mostly from parents, teachers, or did you get feedback from parents and students too?
When we sent out the original survey, it was for our math teachers.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that was just mostly teacher feedback, right?
That's correct.
And students haven't again
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Certainly in the piloting process. Sorry, I misunderstood your question.
Okay.
In the piloting process, yes, we did receive feedback from students. The elementary, and that came up in our full committee. I can't remember if you were at that one or not, but the high school math adoption, as I mentioned, we did pilot 3 different curricula,
Yes.
2 over 1 year, and there was a curriculum that was being designed, but it wasn't completely done in the 23-24 school year. We were aware of it. Teachers were aware of it as well, and so there was a decision before they decided on those two, they wanted to wait for this third curriculum to come out, and then they wanted the opportunity to pilot it, which we did. We actually did not end up choosing that one.
Okay.
We ended up choosing one of the curricula that was in the original. So what that did create, though, is it created us getting feedback from students in the 23-24 year, and also in fall of 25. And so we had two sets of data from two different school years.
That's good. That's good to compare. Thank you.
Well, we want to thank you very much
Thank you.
for this detailed presentation, and we look forward to hearing more from you
Okay.
as we continue this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Board Chair, may I add something quickly?
Sure.
I also just want to really acknowledge Eric Jesperson and the curriculum team, because what you're seeing is the culmination of one piece of work, but there is actually an enormous amount of support happening right now related to curriculum, its selection, its implementation, and this has been a team that has been, I think, just really outperforming what anyone could have reasonably hoped for. And I have just heard almost nothing but good feedback from schools about the kind of support they're getting. So thank you to your team.
Our final item on the readings and discussion portion of the agenda includes revisions to EL6 staff evaluation. Superintendent Castaneda, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. So this is, as a reminder, just our kind of continuing effort to sweep through those executive limitations, many of which haven't been touched in 10 years or more, bring them back into the boardroom for discussion, and consider whether or not the language meets our current needs. This recommendation for revision is, I would say, actually more just of an update and clerical in nature. It is not a substantial change from the original one, but it does include a few things that I believe matter. The opening portion includes a recommended edit, a proposed edit that just acknowledges that our current system of evaluation is not expressly linked to the results policy. Of course, great practice and great service to students does relate to the 5 board goals you've established. But some systems do link, actually, like everyone's evaluation directly to outcomes. We do not have an outcomes-linked evaluation tool here, or I believe actually anywhere in Oregon, for most of our staff. So the red line there is really just to reflect the accuracy of the moment and the reality that all of those instruments are bargained, and just even the power of the board doesn't supersede the collection of agreements made through the bargaining process. Then beyond that, what you just see is creating some standardization across the 3 different areas of staff, so that it's clear that everybody is in a situation where their performance, generally speaking, through a thoughtful evaluation process is linked to continued employment. That's true for classified, it's true for licensed, and it's true for our administrators. And with that, I will hand it over to you all for discussion and questions.
Are there any questions? Yes, Dr. Sandhari.
Yeah, I have a question. Just like this superintendent evaluation has certain measurable outcome and then qualitative outcome. Is there anything that Oregon School Board Association or any National School Board Association have any template which can guide us? Not this one, not for this particular time, but in future. So everybody knows exactly, quantitatively how much they are contributing, and qualitatively, so it becomes even more objective rather than, somebody's implicit biases, and others kind of allow people to, if I don't like my supervisor and the supervisor doesn't like me, those things don't flow into this evaluation process by having objective and subjective. I'm just thinking aloud. Maybe there is no such tool available, then we don't need to.
Well, first, just address some of the safeguards that exist inside the evaluation process that attempt to acknowledge that everyone is human, both the people who are evaluated and the people who are being evaluated. And so there are a number of safeguards in the process to help ensure that it is unbiased, that it is fair, that it is well documented, and that it is reasonable. I know of, it is an interesting question about OSBA, but I know of no Oregon school district that is currently evaluating employees based on individual contributions to student outcomes. There was a period about a decade ago where that was more common in the country. It's generally, it has kind of started to recede a little bit. And we'd be happy to reach out and see if there are other examples of that that are useful and local.
Do you mind if I ask a follow-up question, Chair?
Go ahead.
Does this evaluation allow self-evaluation as part of the thing, or a 360-degree evaluation as staff evaluation? Because some of those practices are followed in other industry. So before you go to your supervisor, you do your self-evaluation or get 360-degree from colleagues and others.
This, as a limitation, neither prevents nor requires that. The elements of the evaluation instrument that we use for classified and licensed are all negotiated and aligned to further state requirements, which make them well calibrated, but also kind of separated slightly from the executive limitation process.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much, Superintendent. Superintendent Castaneda, do you wish to provide further review of any item listed on the consent agenda?
I do not, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Director Harnish moves. Is there a second? Director Parker, thank you. All of those in favor or that approve the consent calendar, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. As a reminder, everything in the Information Standard Report section is provided for the board's review ahead of the meeting. Superintendent, do you have anything to add?
I do not, thank you.
That takes us to our board reports section of the agenda, where directors and student advisors share work from formal committee assignments and activities of the board related to youth programs and school district activities since the last board meeting. Student Advisor Jolie, I'm going to start with you.
Thank you. First, I would like to start off by acknowledging that winter sports have just finished and spring sports are starting up, and I'd like to recognize students for putting so much time and effort into all these sports. And South boys and girls basketball finished their season. And a few weeks ago, I went and saw they both won their game against McNary. On February 24th, Tuesday prior to the student walkout and rally, I went and testified at the Oregon Legislature in the Senate Education Committee for House Bill 4079, a bill I brought up at the school board meeting in February. And Vice Chair Harnish and Chair Richardson went as well to support me as I testified in front of the committee, which really meant a lot to me. The bill has passed through the House and Senate, so starting this fall, every Oregon school and public school must have a plan to keep students safe and families informed if federal and immigration officials are on school property. And then on February 27th, there was the student walkout, and many high school students and middle school students around the district participated. And like the public comment earlier, it was a great fostering of our First Amendment rights, and a lot of students got to come together, and all different types of students, and I feel like we really made an impact on our legislature. And then on Wednesday, March 4th, my friend Alex and Christopher and I went to the Igniting Hope Marion Polk Children, Youth, and Family Services Summit to represent and talk about the Superintendent's Student Advisory Cabinet. And we gave out pins like this one here that the cabinet advocated for. And it shows support for our immigrant communities because that has been a major thing on our students' minds this school year. And Superintendent Castaneda, Counselor Ryan Marshall, and Community Resource Specialist David Mitchell are people who continually demonstrate value in and support for student voices to be heard, and they also participated in the summit last week.
Thank you very much. Director Parker?
Yes, hello, excuse me. Yeah, I got the opportunity to do walkthroughs last week over at North Salem High School. That was very, very educational for me. They were doing algebra and math, most of the ones I went into. So it was great to see being in the classroom again, seeing how teachers interact with the students and how the students are asking questions and learning. That was very interesting, valuable experience for me. And then that just also wants to say that how hard the teachers are working. I want to thank all the teachers. They're doing a really great job from what I've seen firsthand. I want to say thank you to all of them. And then I got to go to last Saturday it was Dolly Parton's Dolly Parton's Imagination Library event. That was casino night. That was a lot of fun. Thank you, Lisa. She was in charge of that. And then I got to go to some band concerts and watch some at Sprague High School, see some band concert kids. They were having performances for all the concert bands, all the different the choir and all of them. That was really good. I got to see that. And then going to the State of District also. That was a great time. That was very, very good. Thank you.
Director Fuller?
Use your microphone. Thank you, Chair. All right, in no particular order. I try to do it in order, but it never works. The Ask ESP kicked off their bargaining on the 16th. I attended one of their bargaining sessions. There's a lot more to come. I was a moderator and a scorekeeper at Battle of the Books, along with Superintendent Castaneda and Deputy Superintendent Cobb. That was, game show host. Under those intense pressure, you could cut the air in the room with a knife. It was so intense. But the students, they worked really hard and they were proud of themselves, and it was just really fun to see. And it was different in the morning session when we were just playing for points, and then after lunch we started eliminations, and that was you're lucky you left before lunch. It was I really want to invite my fellow board members next year to come and experience Battle of the Books. I had a SCATS meeting. I don't know if everybody knows what SCATS is, Salem-Keizer Area Transit Study. It's about as exciting as the name. But it is really amazing to have input as a school, as a school board member, have input on local transportation projects and give direct feedback and advocate for projects, maybe a walking path near a school or a bike lane. It's work that I did not expect to do on the board, but I'm really happy to get to do it. It's a big learning curve, and I'm all for it. I visited Grant and spent some time in their Learning Resource Center. I learned that it's important to know, I learned from a third grade student that it's important to know who K-pop demon hunters are. That is very true, right? But it's also important for third graders to know who Willie Nelson is. She didn't know. She does now. Also during that visit, I picked up a volunteer assignment in Ms. Herman's classroom after spring break. So I'll be going to help with 5th grade math after spring break. I played fiddle at the Oregon's birthday at the Capitol. I went to a band concert at Parrish and got to hear the Flintstones theme song live by the Parrish Intermediate Band. It was great. And then finally, coming up this Saturday, I'll be emceeing the Oregon State Open Fiddle Contest in Lebanon. It'll be online too, if you guys want to see me at my day job. You can watch on YouTube. If you just Google Oregon Old Time Fiddle Association, it'll pop right up. Whew. That's it. Yes.
Director Harnish.
Why, thank you, Chair. So I want to give a shout out to Student Advisor McManus. I'm just so impressed by you. You brought forward House Bill 4079 to us, which did prompt a letter that many of us signed on to. And I have to say, it was such an honor to watch you at the legislature offer testimony. It was a very proud moment for me. And I just want everybody to know that Senator Salmon, who is not always, really effuse with she did a little heart emoji and took pictures of her while she was giving her testimony. And that's the first time I've ever seen her do that. So congratulations. I think you cracked the code. So very proud of you. Also, I'm following in your footsteps. This last week, we had the Children, Youth, and Families Summit, which was an amazing event. And thank you, Superintendent, for being there and emceeing the student conversation over lunch, which was fabulous. And I just, again, appreciate the students there handing out buttons. My button is on the jacket I wore yesterday, so I didn't wear mine tonight. You have more. Good. I need another one. So it was, it's been a great week. And then also the State of the District, like my colleagues have already mentioned, was wonderful. And I just want to call out Director Harada, who's hiding back there. It was an amazing evening to celebrate students, to celebrate the success of the district in terms of the growth and development, and also acknowledge that we've got more to come. And so that was just a very inspiring evening, and I really appreciated the after social hour to hear a little bit more about some of the programs. So that was a great addition. Also was able to join my colleagues, Director Parker and Chandra Giri at Leadership Salem, hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, where we were part of a panel offering them some of our insights on being as a school board member, and so that was really fun. And then also, I wasn't able to be in town during the national walkout. I was actually in Massachusetts, and I want to actually say that as inspiring as it was here in our community, and I'm very proud of the students, nationally, it got a lot of recognition as well. My daughter is a teacher, also is a product of the Salem-Keizer schools, and she mentioned it before I could and was very proud and impressed that our district students took part in that event, as were her colleagues. So I think it just should be noted in that way. And finally, I can't believe it's the middle of March, which is the time when everybody is starting to feel the yearn for a little bit of a break. And so we've got spring break and, of course, conferences this week. And I hope that over spring break, our teachers and our staff can all take a little bit of time to recoup and re-energize and for that last push before the end of the year. And I hope students have some fun as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Director Hudson.
Hi, thank you. I'll be pretty quick, sorry. So I'm excited about DECA for the district. We had a bunch of kiddos go compete in state, and a bunch are going to nationals now. And let's see, also some of the robotics competition kiddos are going. So that's always exciting. They're just so sweet. I like seeing their little hearts. And what I want to touch on though is, and even tonight reminds me of it because it's the staff versus student game over at McNary. And just kind of like the blood, sweat, and tears that our staff and teachers continue to invest in our kiddos. So like all those trips and things, the deck and the holding the state event, hosting that's so many hours of work and over the weekends. And they really want the kids to succeed and do well. And they do everything in their power to make sure that they do succeed at something that the kids find that they're passionate about. And then right before spring break, like you mentioned, though they may be exhausted, putting up a game and having fun with the kids tonight and carrying on this annual tradition of the staff versus students. It's always a fun highlight, I think, for both sides, and I think it's really, really neat to see, and I'd be watching it tonight, as I usually am, if I wasn't here. So anyway, thank you all.
Thank you. Dr. Sandegiri?
Well, thank you, Jay. Thank you. I just want to start out by saying thank you to all our staff, teachers and executive team and superintendent. All of you have done an amazing job, and you keep doing it. I mean, it's like a huge district, kind of trying to get everybody to kind of push the car in the same direction and hardworking at every level, layer by layer. I find how the quality has improved and people are working very hard. So despite whatever else is happening everywhere in the world. So thank you very much. Thank you. It means a lot for our children, our families. And so I so want to appreciate that. As a school board director, I got a chance to attend the same panel discussion with Lisa and Jennifer, the Salem Chamber. And that was nice because there was a group of folks who are going through a leadership training, some from the community, etc. They were just wanted to know what it means to serve. So I really want to say thank you to all the fellow board directors for serving. I mean, this is the highest paid job you're getting here, that you get salary of zero. But the amount of time and dedication that goes behind it is great. It's only cost $10 to run for this office. So that's all. Free civics lessons, $10 investment. But the amount of heart and soul you bring is such commendable. And I see the same thing. Our staff and executive team, when you walk through inside the classes and give real-time feedback, is such a valuable way to kind of make sure everybody is focused on our children and get them to the best possible trajectory. So thank you very much. I appreciate our chair for putting me in a committee now. Now I'm an official committee with the Mid-Valley Council of Government. That was nice. I was there with Director Parker and Mr. Odenthal, and we had a fun time. And just to see how, as a system, we're going to be close to 70 years. This Council of Government is going to be 70 years old next year, I believe. How people have to work together. These are really, really important to remember that. When a water supply comes, it is not going to respect the city boundary. So we can't be thinking in terms of silos. These are issues, are systemic nature. So it's community, school, community are one and the same. Our children have to go home. So the schools community has to be safe, and community has to participate in school. So there is no really separation. So I think that's one nice thing about this COG is you begin to see how everybody works together, different little towns and big cities, and we all kind of participate in that. So that was a good opportunity, and they really, there was almost like an event where they had a lot of people got well-deserved. People have worked 30, 40 years, and they got some amazing award for the kind of work they have done for this community. And so I got to meet a lot of people, and they appreciate our district because we do have a vote by being in that board as part of. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to serve in that board, and I'll kind of keep you posted about that. So thank you, and I hope you all have a nice break, and happy Easter for those who are celebrating, and be safe, and have a nice Easter. Thank you.
I want to give a shout out to all of our classified staff for classified appreciation. We just want you to know how much we appreciate the work that you do, and how you show up for our students on a daily basis. I want to give a shout out to everybody that was a part of the State of the District event. It was fantastic, and every time I tell Superintendent Castaneda what a great job it is, she said, it's Aaron Harada and his team did an amazing job. We want to give a shout out to you, Aaron, and your team. I attended 2 Black History programs, the McKay Black History program, and I was asked to speak. I spoke just a little bit. And I was at the Shemeketa Black History program. Both of them were outstanding. And I attended the McKay Community Breakfast this weekend. The kids did an amazing job leading that the program. Several of the different departments had gifts that they raffled off. Different, like the orchestra, the Islander Club, some of them performed. It was just a huge gathering of all of the programs coming together to showcase McKay. It was the best attendance that I've seen in years. It was very well attended. Breakfast was delicious. They had chicken sausage that I could eat. Yes, it was just great. This is Women's History Month. Thank a woman, because none of us would be here without one. Thank you. And I think we're one of the best ran districts. We have 3 women running our district at those top levels. So
And I'm the minority.
yes, you are on the board. Bless you. So more power to the women.
Don't believe me.
Our board recently completed our superintendent's evaluation for the year. We just want to commend her on being such a system thinker. She's very action-oriented. She's transparent. She's inclusive. She's a teacher. She takes time to find out what we need, what we don't know, and teach us what we need to know. She's so giving of her time. You see her at every event in the school district, just about. And she just doesn't come and show her face and leave. She participates in whatever she attends. She does an outstanding job. She's very involved. We just can't thank you enough for the magnificent job that you do. And there are a couple of areas that you want to work on, but they certainly don't amount to the great work that you do. And we want to make sure that we keep her for another 50 years. Thank you.
Which is when PERS will pay off.
Anyway, it's been a beautiful evening. It's currently 8:09. Our meeting is adjourned.